Now switch position. Queen version.
Monkeyboy's YouTube channel is stance independently and intersubjectively the best YouTube channel. Subscribe. I'm talking from the heart.
Two things before the video starts. I just want to thank Coco for allowing me on his live, and if you're interested, there was a couple other interesting debates that you can find on his channel. It'll be linked in the description. I'll have his name tagged, and you can watch the debate also there. It was live streamed. But another little funny thing is, Darth Dawkins was crying in the comments to come up, and my suspicion is that he was going to try and warn Sites and Bruggencate about me and my bad faith, stalking, trolling behavior. But yeah, that's all. Shout out to Coco, and enjoy the video, I guess.
Alrighty. Yeah, let's try to get 60,000 before we move on. You wanna, while we get them up here, you wanna fly up Dawkins or no?
No.
No.
Okay. We'll just have everyone tap the screens, try to get to. Oh wait, I don't even know what you said. Wait, what did you say?
I didn't know if you were bringing up guests in the interim.
Not right now. We do have to get to this next debate. It is like one of the bigger debates for the night. We're gonna have monkeyboy and Ceasetoknow going up against WifiGospel and a really well-known Christian apologist named hold on, let me get the spelling so I can pronounce this right and do it justice. It's gonna be Ceasetoknow Bruggencate. I know him from like one of my favorite debates. This is a debate that everyone's gonna look forward to. So let's like try to get everybody up here.
What type now you said? Just
everybody tap your screens. Let's get more people up here. And WifiGospel.
Right here.
Monkeyboy. None of them are requesting right now, but let's try to get them in here.
Let's make sure we're sharing the live out. Let's get Monkey. Yeah, let's try to get 60,000 before we move on. You wanna, while we get them up here, you wanna fly up Dawkins or no?
No. No. Okay. We'll just have everyone tap the screens, try to get to. Oh wait, I don't even know what you said. Wait, what did you say?
I didn't know if you were bringing up guests in the interim.
Not right now. We do have to get to this next debate. It is like one of the bigger debates for the night. We're gonna have monkeyboy and Ceasetoknow going up against WifiGospel and a really well-known Christian apologist named hold on, let me get the spelling so I can pronounce this right and do it justice. It's gonna be Ceasetoknow Bruggencate. I know him from like one of my favorite debates. This is a debate that everyone's gonna look forward to. So let's like try to get everybody up here.
What type now you said? Just
everybody tap your screens. Let's get more people up here. And WifiGospel.
Right here.
Monkeyboy. None of them are requesting right now, but let's try to get them in here.
Let's make sure we're sharing the live out. Let's get Monkeyboy and Gospel in here. Let's see where they're at.
Okay, we got Ceasetoknow. He's here. I'm bringing him up. WifiGospel, if you're here, now would be the time to come up.
Hey, how's it going?
Boy.
Hey, what's up? It's Cease.
Hey, glad that you're here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And let's try to get everybody else. If you guys can, invite Monkeyboy, and let's get the debate started.
We're right there. Let's get 60,000. We're right there.
And this debate is going to be formatted differently, but you guys will see how it's going to be formatted due to the special request of like the guest that was supposed to get on. But WifiGospel, if you're in here, you can join. Let me share it out to Monkeyboy and get him in here if he's available.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know. Until I see Monkeyboy just flew in here. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, we got Monkeyboy in the request. He's coming up. Okay, so now we're just waiting for WifiGospel and our guest.
Yeah, hold on. Let me put a background.
WifiGospel, and then our guest is gonna be using one of my accounts, so we're just waiting for him to bring one to come up with like one of my accounts, and then we can go from there. Okay, yep. That's him. Now, I would prefer if you guys had your cameras on, but you don't have to. It's just, it is recommended, but again, you don't have to have your cameras on. It's purely up to you guys. And then, Sai, are you there using my account?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, super glad to have you.
Nice to meet you.
It's an honor. Like, I need to talk to you later. There's a debate that I watched with you on it. Oh my gosh, I'm like a fan. But okay, so
I heard about that from Alex. Actually, you like my confide.
it was that point, and like everybody in the crowd just like jumping up and like screaming. I was like, dude, that's pretty cool. So everybody that's here, 82 people in here. Today we have monkeyboy and Ceasetoknow versus Ceasetoknow Bruggencate and WifiGospel over knowledge cannot exist without God. We're gonna get started on the debate. It is formatted a little bit differently at the request of some, but that's good, and we're gonna get this done, and it's gonna be a great debate. So I'll start it off with the the affirmative, which is gonna be WifiGospel. You're gonna get a 5-minute opener, then Ceasetoknow and monkeyboy, and then we'll get on with it. So you can start your 5-minute opener whenever.
Cool. Does my sound good?
Yeah, you sound pretty good. WifiGospel.
Cool. Hey, Monkey Boy, it's nice to finally talk to you. We've been passing ships on TikTok, so it's cool to see you. All right. So me and Sai are not here tonight for sport. It's not a game for us. In fact, whether you believe it or not, this is a supernatural experience. Supernatural entities on both sides of this issue are literally at war for our souls right now. Elisha prayed for his servant's eyes to be opened because his servant was scared of the war that Israel was about to enter into. And when God opened the servant's eyes, it says he saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. And if God were to open your eyes right now, you would see the same thing. We're not here to enrich ourselves. We're not here to chase clout. We're here with a simple message. Tonight you have a choice, either Jesus Christ or absurdity. We've all sinned and fall short of the glory of God. We all deserve hell for our rebellion against the holy creator of the universe, who gives you each breath that you use to deny him. The reason that our opponents tonight are not in submission to the Lord Jesus Christ is not intellectual, it's spiritual. See, the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved is the very power of God. And my prayer for tonight is that the power of God would work in the hearts and minds of all those who hear my words and don't currently bow the knee to Jesus Christ. God took on flesh in the person of Jesus Christ, lived a perfect life following the law in every tiny detail, fulfilling the messianic prophecies. He died cursed on a tree in the place of sinners who hated him, so that he may be both just and the justifier of the one who places faith in him. You know that God exists, and you deny this not because you lack evidence. Your own intuition and the creation all around you screams the existence of God. You deny his existence because you would rather die and go to hell while shaking your fist at God, rather than repent of your sins and humble yourself before him. Now, how do I know that you know that God exists? Because every time you think or open your mouth, you prove that God exists. Just by showing up to debate tonight, our opponents have proven the existence of the triune God. Debate only makes sense if we can know things. If someone says that you cannot know anything, they are engaging in a performative contradiction. Do you know that you can't know anything? If you say yes, you admit to knowing something. If you say no, then the next question is, do you know that you don't know if you can know anything? You would be reduced to absurdity by an infinite regress. Jesus Christ or absurdity. In order to know anything, you must know everything. Or have revelation from someone who does. Knowledge must be certain. Just think about it. I know that the sun is hot, but I'm not certain. Intuitively, that just doesn't make sense. This presents a problem. If there's any possible defeater for your knowledge claim, you cannot be certain. The only way you can rule out all possible defeaters for a knowledge claim is by knowing everything. And who knows everything? Only God knows everything. If God reveals something to us, we can know it for certain. That is the only way we can have knowledge. If our opponents tonight think they can have knowledge some other way, I would love to hear how they think they can. For the purpose of this debate, we can use the popular definition of knowledge, which is a justified true belief, and me and Sai will be focusing on the truth aspect of knowledge. The correspondence theory of truth states that truth is that which corresponds to reality, and the question I have for our opponents is how can you know what is real? For the Christian, this is an easy question to answer. We can know what is real, we can know what is true by revelation. In the Christian worldview, God has revealed himself to all men such that we can know him for certain. If we can't know anything else, we can know that God exists. Of course, there are other things we can know, but the problem for our opponents is that since they don't know everything, and in their worldview don't have revelation from someone who knows everything, they cannot be certain about anything. They can't even be certain about not being certain. As you will see in our cross-examination, tonight your choice is truly Jesus Christ or absurdity. Choose wisely. Thank you.
Okay, I'm pausing your time. You had 47 seconds extra. So with that, we're going to move on to Ceasetoknow. You get 5 minutes for your opener. We can start it whenever you're ready.
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep, you're good.
All right, thank you, Coco, for hosting this event. So, a bit of background about me. I have a master's degree in philosophy with a focus on phenomenology. Tonight's debate topic is knowledge cannot exist without God. And I would like to start out with an unfortunate truth for my opponents, is that so far I've never been provided any kind of argument for theistic presuppositionalism that's ever succeeded as an argument. And this pseudo, religious whatever we just heard provided none of what I was hoping to hear from my opponent. So there's nothing about him claiming special revelation that is in any way convincing to anybody who's not already indoctrinated by these worldviews. Already he's defeated himself, right? Because the second that he is putting our worldviews in question, rather than showing how their worldview is necessarily the case, they've already failed. Okay? We're not doing a worldview comparison. I can do that without problem. I can justify logic, I can justify math, I can justify language, I can justify morality from a naturalistic perspective without any issues whatsoever. But this is not the topic of the conversation. The topic is God is required for knowledge, right? That is a topic. Any attempt to talk about my worldview is purely a distraction from the reality of the situation, right? My worldview could be wrong and fail, and it would not in any way, shape, or form justify a single one of their claims or arguments that they've attempted to make here, right? So one thing I do want to point out, I don't have a lot of time to discuss all the problems that are wrong with tag, but one of them is that clearly this is circular reasoning, right? They're already defining intelligibility by defining in the context of God, right? We don't need to define knowledge with any notion of certainty, right? Our failures or potential failures of perception does not result in the idea that everything is in any way unknowable. These are just claims, right? We need an actual argument from the other side that would justify these claims, not just saying it over and over again, not just claiming it, right? But actual, and again, don't mention my worldview. Explain yours. Explain why yours is necessarily the case. Because if my worldview fails, you have an infinite amount of other worldviews that are not yours that you have to show also fail. How much time do I have?
You currently have 2 minutes and 11 seconds.
Okay, cool. So I still have a little time. Great. Yeah. So essentially, what they're doing is just shifting the burden of proof, right? They're rather than justifying what they need to justify, they want to try to poke holes at everybody else's perspectives, which you wouldn't need to do if your worldview was necessarily the case. Now, the fact this person who's never met me thinks that they're in a position to make claims about what motivates me is laughable. Right? I have no problem in principle accepting that God exists if actual credible evidence beyond religious lecturing and illusion could be provided to me. I'm not in principle against God existing. I would believe in that God if something credible and concrete could be provided to me. But as of right now, I have no reason whatsoever to accept the idea that for me to know anything, some unifying principle they call God is necessary. I want to know what my opponent's justification for that claim is. I want to know what inference they're applying to justify that claim. I want to know how they're defining logic, how they're defining knowledge. Right? He said justify true belief earlier. Well, if that was the case, if that's the definition we're using, already you should know that God is not required for a justified true belief. You have to talk about what you even mean by justification. Now, we can get into later on why there is no issue with and how we can still know something even if we can't be certain about most things, why we can still be certain of some things without making any sort of assumption of God. We can get to that. But before we get to that, I want our opponents to actually engage in the topic at hand, which is justifying their claims and their premises. And so far, I haven't heard a shred of justification, just religious assumptions based on nothing but arrogance, frankly, and I think a lack of understanding of these tools in philosophy. So I'll leave it there.
Okay, cool. That's the end of the 5 minutes. The next person is going to be monkeyboy. I can start the 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very quick, and I want to cede the rest of my time just to the open dialogue or whatever. So, well, one thing to nail in is the point that interrogating our view is obviously not the concern of the epistemic justification put forward in light of the claim knowledge is necessary, or if and only, or necessarily if and only if, or whatever way you're running tag. If the claim is knowledge cannot be had without God, what we want is just an inference in support of that. And once we get a clear inference, then, well, I guess all there is to say is that all I'm interested in getting is a sound inference out of it. That's it.
And are you ending your time there?
No.
Okay, and then as per request, Sai didn't want an opening statement, which is totally fine. So we're just going to go straight into the open dialogue. This open dialogue is going to be replacing the cross-examinations. It's not going to belong to anybody, but it's going to be shared amongst all of the competitors. And so it will just be a discussion and some challenging and asking of points and between all of the competitors. So I will start the 20 minutes right now, and the floor is free to anybody.
Sure, I'll ask one question real quick: is how do you ground and justify the claim that you were given this revelation? How do you show me that that isn't purely imaginary?
Yeah, well, I think first we should just get the argument for the claim.
Sure.
This is Sai, by the way. I'm thankful that you guys have agreed to engage us here this evening. And I don't care how sappy it sounds, but I'm here because I love you guys. And I've prayed for you, and even the host here, and those people that are listening as well, is that I want them to come to know the peace which passes all understanding. I want them to come to know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Now, my question, do either of my interlocutors, do either of you say it's impossible for God to exist?
Well, depends on which definition of God you're using.
The Christian God. You're familiar with the Christian God.
Yes,
well,
yes, I would say that. Yes.
Well,
look,
in really any case, this question can be asked after we get the argument in light of the claim that there's.
No, this is actually part of how I want to engage you, because it's part of my my position. Are you saying it's impossible for God?
Well, no. What we want is an inference in light of the claim, right?
I don't care what you want. I'm asking you.
I don't care. Well, I don't care to answer questions. I'm just here to be faced with an argument. I want you to deliver an argument supporting the claim.
Well, I want to have a conversation with you.
Okay, well, if the proposition here is knowledge can't be had without God, and that claim is not epistemically warranted, then
okay, I'll give you my argument.
There's an inference in light of the claim.
I'll give you my argument. God makes us know things.
God makes us know things.
Yeah. That's a claim, right? Like we want to know
well,
why.
Maybe there's a charitable way of saying, if we know things, then God's the explanation. Now that conditional statement is not actually the same proposition here, and in either case, it's not even an inference. So is that supposed to be like a premise of the inference? So okay, so if we have knowledge, then God's the explanation. Okay, how are we getting to we can't have knowledge without God?
The denial of which reduces one to absurdity. That's my argument.
Okay, well that's not an okay. To be clear, by an argument we mean like a sequence of premises, right? That's entailed from or a sequence of premises that infers the conclusion, right?
Okay, premise
so
one. Premise one: God is necessary for intelligibility. There is intelligibility. Conclusion: therefore, God exists.
What's the argument for the first premise?
I'm not giving you an argument. I'm giving you my premises. If you want to have
no.
The thing is, you're
asking for the stage 2 argument in defense of P1.
You're asking me to defend each of my premises, and that's why I'm going to ask you to do. I'm saying so. That's
laying out an argument.
That's my argument.
Wait, what I'm asking, I understand that's your stage 1 argument. I'm unconvinced of the first premise, and I have not yet seen how it sounds, right? In order for the argument to be sound, the premises must be true. In order to establish that, what is required is a stage 2 argument served as an auxiliary supplement for that premise, right? And I'm not convinced of it. So if you don't have that supporting argument, then I'm fine with ending the debate with no epistemic grounds to make the claim.
So you're saying that this has to be true. What is truth in your worldview?
Wait. Well, in any case, we don't need a quibble over whatever theory of truth you're using is fine. We don't have to quibble over truth.
Okay.
In any case, we just want to know the inference in light of P1.
Here's my theory of truth. Whatever God says.
I'm asking you, what's the argument for P1?
Yeah, but I'm saying that part of the argument is that God is necessary for truth.
Yeah, but we're asking why you think this.
Well, you're saying that premise one. You're saying premise one has to be true. Okay, what is truth?
No, I asked what's the argument in light of P1.
No, you're saying that in order that the premise one has to be sound, it has to be a true statement. My first premise, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd have to have. Do you want my account of truth?
I want to know what is truth and how you can know anything to be true.
But okay,
no, we're not concerned with that epistemic question. We want to know, if you're asking me what do I mean by truth as used in the argument, I can give you a brief analysis of my theory of truth, though it's fairly complicated. But in any case, if that's what you're asking, then sure. But it's kind of strange because Wi-Fi said he's working with the correspondent theory of truth. So now it seems like there's some tension because you're not integrating the theory that he's actually iterated from the onset, right? So if you're disputing a different proposition, because what he said is that knowledge can't exist without God. That proposition is true, and what that means is that it corresponds with reality. If that's not your claim, then I'm interested then in getting the argument as displayed by Wi-Fi. But in any case, if your claim is that P1 is true because God said it, and what's in contention is the existence of God, and the motivation I think God exists is because there's knowledge which is requiring of God, then your argument's question begging. Okay, so now we can try to get the non-question begging sense of truth as displayed by Wi-Fi, unless you want me to give you my analysis of truth preliminarily. And
like
whatever Cease wants to join in.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing real quick. What's happening here is exactly what I was concerned with from the get-go, like in my opening statement, which is that rather than providing their own justification for their claims, they're shifting the burden of proof to ask us questions, right? But my view is irrelevant to whether or not your view is justified, right? So just saying, well, because God said it, these are claims, right? I'm not interested in claims. I'm interested in how you justify the claims you're making.
To be
Yeah, but
fair,
I'm-
you could
I'm saying
interpret
that
what he's saying as a clarificatory question, but what I see the problem there is when he wants these types of bigger definitions for robust philosophical terms. What he seems to be doing is kind of like this thing where we're having an applied ethical dispute, and then he's asking for our metaethics, right? And that's something we don't want to do. If you want, I can. I guess I'm not sure. Are we using the correspondent theory of truth? Are we using your question-begging theory of truth? Are we using minds? Can we just get clear?
I
Well,
think
what
the
I'm saying is-
problem is that
sorry.
there's the difference between an external critique and an internal critique. The internal
Well, we're trying to
critique doesn't work.
understand
Are you
the
trying to
truth
make an external
component.
critique?
No, we're trying to get clear what's the inference, and what he said by premise one is true, is that God said it. Now, it's unclear which theory of truth we're working with. If we even want to quibble over this, I'm fine with just dissolving this whole thing as like a shared concept of truth, where the truth predicate doesn't need rigor analysis. But in any case, if the contention now is using a theory of truth that your partner had denied from the onset, then it's unclear, especially given you also asked me what I mean by truth. So can we just get clear whose theory of truth we're working with?
Well, that depends on.
I think you're being a little disingenuous because I have no problem with the correspondence theory of truth. Truth is that which corresponds with reality as perceived by God.
I'm not being disingenuous. When
Sure you are,
I asked
because-
what's the supporting argument for P1,
Whatever
you
God
said, what do
said,
I mean by
and
true?
whatever,
And by
well,
true, you
don't
meant
talk over me.
whatever
I
God
let you
says.
talk for quite a while. Okay,
Well,
so whatever
actually, I was over talking you there, but it was the
whatever
other way
God
around.
says is true. That whatever God says is real. So we have
That's
the same
not
theory of
informative.
truth. So nitpicking our theories of truth is irrelevant. I know you
Wait.
don't want to talk about that because it
Wait.
destroys your worldview.
Well, hold
Wait,
on. You haven't
wait.
provided a theory. You haven't provided
Well,
anything.
look, it's not clear because look, when you say whatever God says is true,
Right.
is what you're saying that for any utterance communicated by God, the truth predicate is assigned to that? Because then it's unclear what the truth predicate is meaning there, so that's not informative.
Well, you can't understand it. That's another thing that was said in the opening statement is that you're not convinced by it. You can't be
I
convinced.
can't understand it.
You
Look,
can't.
can we
be-
just?
Hey, listen,
let's
stop
just get.
talking over me, okay? You cannot be convinced by it because your worldview is absurd.
Okay, you haven't shown it again.
You haven't. Well, I don't know why you're speaking on speculation of a worldview, but in any case, can we just get the clarity as to what theory of truth we're working with, or can we not quibble over truth?
Well, I'm sure that Alex will agree with me that truth is whatever God says, and whatever God says is real. So it is a correspondence theory of truth. It's what corresponds to the mind of God.
Okay, but is that an analytic or synthetic statement? Are you saying for anything God utters, it satisfies the truth predicate? Or are you saying literally what God says is what you mean by truth?
Okay, here's my response. Pizza sleeps fast under the west, therefore the much.
Did you want to try not dodging?
No, that's not dodging. That's my answer. Pizza sleeps fast under the west, therefore the much.
What was asked of you is the expression there synthetic or analytically true?
Yeah, and that was my answer.
Okay,
Pizza
I want
sleeps
to.
Wait,
I want
so
to.
therefore the
wait,
much.
to be clear, it's what I'm offering you is a disjunct where it's actually a true dichotomy where it's either true in virtue of its meaning or true not in virtue of its meaning, which is either it's extensionally true for all things God says they satisfy the truth predicate, or it's intentionally true where what it means for something to be true is God said it. And I'm not clear which horns you're taking. So if maybe
Okay, let me
you can
repeat
clarify and not create this.
Let me repeat then. Pizza sleeps fast under the west, therefore the much.
Okay, I'm gonna
Okay.
jump in for a second.
Well,
What-
right before that, let's just say the prior or the latter. To be clear, the prior is that it's made true in virtue of God saying it, or God says it because it's true.
Pizza sleeps fast under the west, therefore the much.
All right, so you just told me.
Okay, you can dodge. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but how is that dodging? That's
Because
a
you're not
clear
answering the
line.
question.
Well, presumably you're giving an argument with true premises. It's unclear what you mean by true premises because you
How
did
is
not
that not
use the
true?
correspondent theorist. You said you're not going to
true.
use the correspondent theory of truth.
How is that not true?
Oh, thanks for the gift. Well, I don't know what it means to be true. I never denied it's true.
Okay,
I
and
don't
that's
know
our
where you
point.
got that.
You don't know what it means to be true, and therefore truth is an aspect of knowledge.
No,
so you can't
he's
have
saying
knowledge without
he
God.
doesn't know how you're using the term. You're not trying.
Yeah, I'm not sure the sense of the term being employed in the inference.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Pizza sleeps fast under the west, therefore the much.
Okay, so I want to say something for the audience that's listening to this conversation. This is what happens, right, when you're unable to actually defend the claims you're making.
Let's
When
not
you're
go on
unable to.
monologues. We're in a
No, it's not monologue.
Yeah, I do want to avoid the meta, but I'm trying to understand. You said pizza sleeps fast, blah, blah, blah. So when I say it's true, John walked his dog, the truth predicate there means it's pizza sleeps under fast, blah, 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 John walked his dog. Not only is that grammatically incoherent, but you're clearly being disingenuous, and you can cut it with the rhetoric and just either provide me the analysis.
What is
You can either
incoherent?
provide the analysis, or we can stop quibbling over truth. Can we just,
What
how
is
about this? Hopefully, if Wi-Fi is, because seemingly Wi-Fi is not doing this act, can we just, are we using the correspondent theory in this inference or not?
What is
Because maybe Wi-Fi can answer.
incoherence? What is incoherence?
Can we just get an answer to that?
Well, that's the issue. Is you're making an external critique. If you're making an external critique, you have to provide.
I haven't raised a criticism. Wait.
Wait.
A critique? I'm asking what sense of truth is used in the inference. I haven't raised a criticism.
the correspondence theory, and it's yes, truth is that which is real. That's the correspondence theory. But
Okay,
how do
so
we
it
know
is
what's
the
real?
correspondence
It's
theory.
from the mind of God, because he actualizes everything.
Okay, so if all we mean by true here is that it corresponds with reality, that knowledge is necessary, or God is necessary for knowledge, then what's the argument for that? P1 again.
Without God, you can't know what's real.
That's repeating the claim.
Yeah, what's the argument?
What's the argument?
Well, the impossibility of the contrary.
In the claim.
That's
Well-
just saying the contrapositive. To say that it's impossible, it just means it's not
Right.
necessary. You said it's not necessary right before, and then the premise from the onset was that it's necessary, right? So without, maybe this weaselly way of rewording the argument, can we get an inference in support?
Listen, we're Christians. We're saying that God exists. He reveals.
I didn't ask you that. The question
on,
was,
let me
can
finish.
you
Quit-
give an
quit
inference
cutting
in
me off.
support of it?
Quit cutting me off, because we're Christians. We say that God reveals.
I
himself.
asked you, can you give an
Listen.
inference in light of it?
You're gonna
That
have to quit
question is
cutting
to
me
be
off.
answered, not for you to
Stop
Well,
cutting me off.
well, look, to be clear, what I will not allow is pivots, right? So when I ask a question such as, will you give an inference in light of P1? And then you say you're a Christian. Well, clearly that's not informing me
Well, you have to let
whether
me
you will give an
finish.
inference in light of P1.
Yeah, sorry, when you
Well,
when you
it's
say
a yes or no.
when you say the impossibility of the contrary, you're just repeating the same.
Hold on, really quick. Pause real quick. Let's make sure that we're answering each other's questions, and let's cut off less. But go ahead.
Let me just say real quick. When you say it's the impossibility of the contrary, or you claim that our worldview leads to some absurdity, that is just repeating the same premise that we're asking to actually justify. Just saying it isn't an argument.
It's
I
a
don't
transcendental argument. You might not be familiar with transcendental
I'm
argument,
very familiar.
but it talks about necessary preconditions, and we're saying that God is a necessary precondition for knowledge. Now,
Yes,
you can
okay.
argue with that. You can give us another one, but you won't because you can't.
No,
Wait,
so
well, no.
well, hold on. I'm extremely familiar with the so-called argument. We're asking you to actually provide justification for the first premise, to actually provide how you're arriving at that conclusion, what inference you're using. Seems like you don't know the meaning of these terms, it sounds like.
Well, listen, here's the thing. If you have to prove each premise, then it's an infinite regress. And that's why I can ask you to
No.
prove every word
How
that
does
you're
that
using in your
follow?
question,
Wait, that's ridiculous.
towards me.
There's a finite, that's a regular statement to make. So there's a finite number of premises in this conversation, in this argument, right? I'm not asking you for an infinite.
No, it's actually not finite. It's not
Sure it is.
finite, because you could ask about the origin of every word and the validity of every word and every premise.
Not
It's
once you
an
provide
infinite
inference. Not once you provide
Well,
inference.
let's just get
What
clear.
is- How do you know what inference means?
Well, wait, let's just get clear. So asking for a stage 2 argument is clearly not sufficient inductive support to say that I'm indefinitely asking for arguments. That's number one. And yes, it's very, very typical that in discourse, when there's controversial premises, that what the interlocutor does is ask for the inferential support for the controversial premise. So until we're faced with premises that are not controversial, and I will not be disingenuously indefinitely asking for arguments, that's just speculation on your behalf. But in any case, this is meta. What we don't want is you crying about the belief or the suspicion. We're just in bad faith requesting arguments indefinitely. We just want to know the answer to the question, which is, do you have an argument in support of P1?
I've given you the argument. It's true by the impossibility of the contrary.
No, that's the claim. What's the argument that
No, that's the argument, the
concludes?
transcendental argument.
That's not an
No,
argument.
no. I'm asking what's the argument with the conclusion being that the contrary is impossible.
God reveals it to us.
3 minutes, 30 seconds.
Not an argument. That's just a claim.
Wait.
I think I can clear
So-
this up a little bit here. Everyone here believes knowledge is possible, correct?
Wait, no, wait. Let's just get clear. We want
No,
the
just-
inference in support of it.
I know, but I'm trying to clear it up because there's been a lot of confusion here. Everyone here believes knowledge is possible. You can't believe that knowledge is
Wait,
not
we're
possible.
not
because we're
unclear
contradiction.
about his task.
Wait.
We just want a clear argument, is what I mean.
Right, and I'm clearing things up here. We've given you a way that knowledge is possible. You can say it's not justified, that's fine. But if God exists, if he's revealed himself to us, he can reveal things to us such that we can know them for certain. That is a way that knowledge is possible. What Sai is asking you to do is provide another way that knowledge is possible, and if you can't, you have to use ours.
The command is just not an inference for P1, so we're not
I- I
interested
can
in
make this
defending
go through it
or
all.
making suggestions.
But in these 3
right?
minutes,
So,
can you provide an epistemic justification for knowledge?
Again, this is a distraction.
well,
You have-
knowledge is not a
We
proposition.
provided one.
Number one. Well, knowledge is not a proposition. But in
How do
any
you know
case, I just want to get clear. What's the argument in light of P1?
How do you know that it's not an argument?
I know it a priori.
You know, a priori.
But I know you're going to take that bait and try and go down some weasel
No, not at all.
dialogue flow or flow of questions that are not pertinent to the epistemic justification for the claim. So what I will not do, what I will not do is answer any questions
Of course you
or try and slip into this type of pigeonhole that Presup does. We just want to know if you have an argument for P1. You can answer yes or no. If the answer is yes,
You've given it.
give the argument.
You haven't
have
given
What is it? What
We
is
have
it?
given.
You just said God says it.
I also
That's
gave
all.
one in the open.
No, you said the contrary is impossible. That's
Listen,
just not even.
how do you
You
know
guys
that's not
don't
an
understand what an argument is. This is the problem. You don't understand.
How do you know that's not an
argument? Because I know what an argument is. So
Okay,
clearly,
how do you know what an argument is?
Wait,
So-
no.
so-
we're not gonna do that.
Of course you're not, because it destroys your world.
Okay.
you haven't destroyed anything. You haven't provided a worldview.
How do
Just
you know
saying
that?
God did it, just saying God revealed it is a claim. Right? That's not an
How do you
argument.
know
That's
it's
not
a claim?
justification.
Wait.
How do you know it's
Okay.
a claim?
Let's just get the argument. By argument, if that's unclear, we want a series of premises that infers the conclusion. The
I've given
conclusion
them.
being the
You've
contrary is
rejected.
impossible.
I've given it. You've rejected it.
No. I asked for the support for P1. Now we're on the stage
I've
2
given you the
argument.
argument. I'm not going to give you support for every one of my premises.
The conclusion of the stage 2 argument should be that the contrary is impossible.
How do you know that?
Well, you're dodging the entire.
How do you know I'm dodging?
That's not an argument.
Yeah, because I know because we don't need God to actually know these things.
Okay, that's not a claim of how you know. That's you're saying what you don't need for knowledge. I'm asking how you know.
Just
We've
know.
given you
Just
our
give.
justification. You can reject our justification. What is yours?
Did you
You have
give?
not
Did you
provided
give?
justification.
Do you think you gave a justification for P1?
I've given you a justification for knowledge. Now what's yours?
No. I asked you if you have a justification for P1 of the argument.
God makes us know things. Yes.
That's not an answer to the question.
Sure.
I didn't ask you if God makes you know things.
Yes, that's a
If the
justification.
question was,
Your last
if the
statements.
question
That's the
was,
time.
okay, if the question was, does God make you know things? Then you're excellent at answering questions because you said yes. Now, was the question, does God make you know things? No, you failed horribly. What the question was is, do you have a stage 2 argument in support of P1? And the answer is so ambiguous. So until we can get an answer to that and then the inference, then we can finally.
Well, we've given you a justification.
more-
for knowledge.
So really
God
quick,
makes
so-
us know things.
really quick. Yeah, time. Let me let everyone get like one last sentence, and we have to move to conclusions.
Isn't
So,
that what conclusions are for?
actually, you know what? That's kind of a good point. So we can just move to conclusions. The first person to do theirs will be Cease, and there'll be 2-minute conclusions for all participants. So, Cease, you can start your conclusion anytime.
Sure. Yeah. So my conclusion is, it's pretty straightforward, right? We asked for an argument. We asked for justification for the first premise. None of these things were provided. All that took place was dodging and trying, as I said in the beginning, to try to shift the burden of proof onto us when our worldview is not relevant. The topic at hand was that their claim that knowledge requires God's existence. This is, I don't like to go down this road, but as someone that cares very much about the field of philosophy and what it takes to really be rigorous with it, I find it offensive, frankly, to engage in this kind of manner. I think that let me phrase it this way. I consider the Presup Apologetics approach to be the bottom of the barrel of any kind of religious defense that I've ever heard. When you are unable to even provide an argument, provide a justification for your premises, and you just want to run in circles and point the finger at other worldviews, this is sophistry at best. There's not much really to say here. I mean, look, their perspective is virtually circular. They just define intelligibility as requiring God, and that's how they define it. Asking us how we know things is already assuming that we can only know things if their premise is true. Their premise is what's being questioned. They've provided nothing to actually justify that claim. So while I would love nothing more than to get into how I justify my worldview and do a worldview comparison and show how theirs still falls short in that process, that was just not the topic of the conversation. And the last thing I'll say is this whole, we love it, we want to save our souls.
Time's up. Finish your last sentence.
Last sentence. If you really cared about saving our souls, you would actually do your due diligence to actually provide what would be credible to people who were not already indoctrinated into these worldviews in the first place. If that was really what was your concern, other than just some performative nonsense. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Monkey Boy, you get 2 minutes for your closing statements. You can start whenever.
Yeah, so there was some funny stuff. He
There's a sound.
accused.
If anybody else hears that, I think it might be. I don't know whose mic it is. Sorry.
Okay,
I think that's on your side. I don't hear anything.
Is it me?
I don't hear anything. But it's funny he accused us of asking questions as an infinite regress, given the sample of instances in which we were asked, "Do you know that?" It seems more warranted that we have a larger range of instances that would motivate inductively that he was doing that. So, but in any case, yeah. So it's crazy that Bruggencate has been debating for this long, this terrible. If anything, I could teach him philosophy 101 or lecture for him. But yeah, it's pretty pathetic. Maybe learn what. If you want, I could teach you at least logic 101. I could teach you formal language, formal model, the classical axioms of logic. I could teach you what a well-formed formula is, so you can give me a series of well-formed formulas that form a deductive inference in which it logically entails the conclusion, which is called validity, as a support for your first premise. I'm fine with doing that. But, don't debate until you learn. I would suggest that. I think arguments are imperative to debate, right? So I cease my time again.
Okay, I'll conclude the time there. I'm going to let Sai go next. You get 2 minutes. Everyone's gonna be quiet while you get your last statements in.
All right.
You can start whenever you want.
Well, thanks for your time. Just because a person does not like an argument doesn't mean that it isn't an argument. In the opening statement, knowledge was defined as justified true belief. And the correspondence theory of truth, which most people hold as truth, is that which corresponds with reality. And it's our claim that unless you start with God, you cannot know what's real. And so then we would go to our interlocutor and ask, well, how do you know what's real? This is our justification for truth. You might not like the form, you might not like these things. However, this is ours. Whether you like them or not, this is ours. Now we're saying that it's impossible to know things without God. God is a necessary justification because he is the ultimate perceiver. He has to be able to reveal to us what is true in order to know anything at all. And that's what the Bible says. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. All the treasures of wisdom and knowledge are hidden in Jesus Christ. Now that is our claim. And now you'll see that they'll pan the argument because they have nothing. They cannot address any of these. I asked them how to know what's true. How do they know anything? How do they know that their brains are operating properly to even know anything to 1% or to 0.001%? And the thing is, without God, you cannot justify that, or you're in vicious circularity. Now they know this. This is why they hate presuppositionalism. This is why they want us to get off of the argument, because they cannot justify even one knowledge claim to any degree without God. And you'll see that that was the case here, that they don't want to get into what they believe. We've given our justification. They don't like it. So they will go, and try and nitpick every little, every word, every premise that we use because they don't like it. And then we get to theirs and there's nothing. And that's what we said in the opening statement, that the option here tonight is Jesus Christ or absurdity. Now, we have given a justification for knowledge. They might not like it. And for those people who listen to this back, you'll see that our interlocutors have not given any justification for knowledge because they cannot. And if they wish to, post that online somewhere and send a link to it, then I'll be happy to go through their justification for knowledge and show where it fails. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you. And Wi-Fi Gospel, you can start your 2-minute conclusion anytime.
So 2v2 debates are tough. There was only 20 minutes in the open discussion. 20 minutes flies by and stuff. Maybe if we had more time, we could have got deeper into it. But one thing I would like to address is I gave a justification in my opening statement. It wasn't set out in a syllogism, which I could have done, but just didn't do that. I didn't think there was time to really go into all that. And there wasn't. I mean, once we got into the weeds, we really couldn't get into it by just trying to come up with definitions for things. Deny that, then you can't, you're reduced to fallibilism. And fallibilism has all sorts of problems, but the number one problem, I've never got anybody to tell me this, what is the magic level of justification needed for a belief to be true and therefore considered knowledge if fallibilism is true? If you can't come up with that, and it's not just arbitrary, then fallibilism is false. There's a million other things I could say about that. Because knowledge has to be certain, I said this in my opening statement, you either have to know everything to be able to rule out all possible defeaters, or know someone who knows everything. If my worldview is true, knowledge is possible. What we tried to say is the impossibility of the contrary. If your worldview is true, you can't know anything. That was the whole argument. I would love to talk to you guys again. Maybe we can exchange discords or something and do that. But I appreciate your time. Thank you guys.
Amazing.
That was amazing. Hold on, let me shrink my screen real quick.
I forgot. I know my time's done, but can I say something and it's a very small point.
If you give me time afterwards, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to talk after, I guess that's fine. So this claim about what was it? Most people's theory of truth is a correspondent theorist or theory account of truth is just something that's kind of obviously false because we don't even need a survey. If you just do some introspection into your priors, you would realize that there's a range of instances in which the truth predicate is satisfied in fictional cases, right? Like take it Goku could go Super Saiyan. That proposition is true while the predicate of go Super Saiyan doesn't exist, nor does Goku, right? What it means, or at least my account of truth, which I suspect the mass population of people, even who are not acquainted with propositional calculus, mean by truth, is when in some domain of discourse, a predicate is satisfied of an object, which is how we make a load of expressions like Harry Potter has black hair, Harry Potter wears glasses, Goku could go Super Saiyan, etc., right? It should be fairly obvious.
Okay. Also, a reminder, we do need to get on to the next debate, but everyone can go ahead and have a...
No, I just have a quick question. Now that we're not debating anymore, I'm just curious, how do you know that your reasoning is valid to any degree? About anything?
What do you mean my reasoning is valid?
Your ability to have logical thought and conclusions. How do you know that's valid to any degree?
What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean by valid.
By the success of how we navigate our world.
Your ability to reason, yes, that it produces successful. How do you know that your reasoning is valid? You know what reasoning is. See, that's the kind of...
because experience is fundamental. The verbal and the linguistics.
By valid... Well, do you know what he means by valid?
Okay, that's fine. No, I think
I think you're asking why we trust our perceptions or senses.
that's exactly what I was saying during the debate.
We're gonna have
Don't
to,
nitpick every word, but thanks for your time.
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We're gonna have to
Move on to the next debate, right?
right.
Is there a poll for this thing?
Yeah, the polls.
Yeah,
guys,
there's a
you guys
poll.
can vote for who you think won. We definitely recommend that. We want to say thank you to our guests, monkeyboy, Ceasetoknow Gospel, Sai. Thank you guys for attending, sharing your knowledge, thoughts. We really appreciate that.
And I have a YouTube channel.
What,
You also check it out.
Also, what a privilege to have Sai here. Thank you for giving us a chance and coming to the TikTok debate side. You got
My pleasure, man. I'd be happy to talk to you offline anytime as well, man. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, and honestly, it's awesome to have you guys here. This was like the highlight debate of the night. But yeah, this is cool. Thank you guys all for being here. And monkeyboy Cease, very smart and like the best of everyone on TikTok when it comes to debating and like knowledge on philosophy. I appreciate you guys for honoring my platform with your presence, and thank you all for being here. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the next debate, and WifiGospel too. Thank you for being here. Wi-Fi is the reason I got signed. So I really
Coco's the best. Everybody go follow Coco. He's gonna be on YouTube doing this stuff. So that's how we're all gonna talk again.
I really appreciate that.
My first time meeting you, but nice to meet you, bro.
Appreciate you, boss.
Later, guys.
Take care.
And our next debate is going to be